artists are full of crap. Look, here's what's happening. And I know. Hate mail at theyoungturks.com, okay? Here's what's happening.
Artists full of crap. If you give the argument where they throw red paint on a canvas and they're like, voila, it's art. That's not an argument.
Do that again.
No.
For the people watching on theyoungturks.com. No. Okay, anyway. No. Look, I don't want to belabor it. I'll tell you real quick what I always claim.
I would actually like to belabor it.
The real artists are the Steven Spielberg, directors,
writers.
No, I'm being dead serious. People who make movies, people who make television. And I know there's a lot of crap television. Okay, I know.
You think
but there is some
film
great
and television
television
are the epitome of artistic expression?
Yes. In fact, I will bet you any amount of money that which is a stupid and impossible bet, but in the future, people will look back and say, yeah, of course, the art of the 20th century and the 21st century, late 20th, early 21st century, was movies.
Oh, I definitely think
that was the art form.
I definitely think
and then there was a bunch of jackasses who ran around saying, "Oh, I am an artist," but they weren't really artists; they were pretentious pricks. Okay, the real art is what people actually enjoy. See, the Sistine Chapel wasn't
there's a lot
at
of
the
people
time.
that actually enjoy going to museums and seeing new art, architecture, graffiti art, all this stuff. I mean, it's all. Do you think music is art then?
Of course, it's popular.
Why is popular, new, and widely accepted forms of entertainment the only thing that you consider art?
Let me just say, complete the thought that she didn't let me finish. Okay. Right. At the time, opera was popular. It wasn't some antiquated old art form. At the time, ballet was hip-hop, okay? At the time, when they painted, they didn't have movies. That was like, whoa, everybody, let's go see the paintings, okay? That was art at the time. It was live art. It was real art. It was art that people participated in. That's what we have now with movies and music, etc. And we have a bunch of people who are stuck in time and who think the only real art is the one that they did 300 years ago or 500 years ago, or even 10 years ago in New York in graffiti and whatever.
Okay, Cenk, your argument is 100% flawed. I'm not saying that film, television to some degree, and music are not art. I do think they're art. They're new forms of art in the 20th century. That doesn't mean that art that was popular decades ago, centuries ago, aren't still considered art, and that artists can't improve on that and relate it to now modern society.
Look, there's a problem here, and the problem is not.
Don't
first of all,
laugh me off.
There's a great point that we made, though, that like the reason that everybody was so into the paintings in the Renaissance is because the shield was not on. It wasn't an option. If the shield were an option in 1782, nobody would have gone to the art gallery, and it never would have taken off.
You guys are so culturally closed-minded. I don't really know anything about art, but I do understand that there's various forms of art and various forms of expressing, things in history, things in politics, all these things.
Let me just get through this. The problem with art is not, of course there is. There are many ways to express yourself. You can do it through music, you can do it through acting, you can do it through painting, you can do it through sculpting.
You can do it through popular ways, and you can do it through annoying ways.
However, it's not limitless. And the problem that hurts genuine artists are so many people claiming to be artists and wrapping themselves, as Cenk said, in this ridiculous pretension that surrounds art, that you cannot have a conversation about art without people talking the way, in fact, that Cenk said, which for some reasons when he said artiste, he felt the need, it seemed to me, to pinch his own nipples. I don't, artiste. But that's the problem with art, is that it is surrounded by grotesque pretension. And you can't, and there's no question that as technology is advanced, sort of what is sort of certainly what I would consider art is now when people say art, you have to think it's paintings or this crazy sort of nonsensical. It's like an Olympic sport. Just because it's in the Olympics doesn't make it an Olympic sport, and just because somebody painted it doesn't make it art.
But that goes the same.
Jesus, we got Jesus back on our side.
No, hold on.
Yeah. No, not on my side. On Ben's side.